Damn, I hate that. You know, I'm recording on my phone, and I had a call come in, and it completely cancelled the recording. How dare it do that? How dare it override my recording? How dare it? I'm recording for a reason. Right, anyway, that's the end of that. So we're into part 2 now, part 2 video. So, couldn't really get enough. There was enough resistances against like Hammer of Justice and things like that. Enough were resisting that, and enough were breaking out of the mind control quickly enough. Enough were avoiding getting the judgments on them. So it was hard for the bosses really to do their thing. The Retribution aura helped a lot for them because Leon was running in and doing his melee damage because he's a hitty mage as well as Tim Bob George, who is also a hitty mage. But Tim Bob George is like arcane warrior and real like primal spec kind of thing as well with it. Whereas Leon is of course Knight Enchanter and the other hitty mage thing from Fantasy Age. So then also I was rolling randomly for the bosses to see, generally who they want to target each round, who they want to put their DPS on individually. And that also bought the group a bit of chance because it spread the damage out between them. And bear in mind, there's 6 of them up against the bosses. But what the 6 of them did was, I took a base HP, and then each member present adds to that HP by whatever kind of rate. So in the case of Mograine, I actually took 50 per PC. And in the case of Whitemane, it was 20 per PC. So, yeah. He's still here. He's still here. Anyway. It was unthinkable, but they survived it. Well, most of them survived it. Because they took out Whitemane first, as you would, because she's the healer, of course. She hung in there just another round as well, managed to get a heal on herself, but their pure power managed to bring her down. And still no one is, permanently killed. They managed to get, rejuvenations up on people that looking in a bad way, and Leon was healing quite well in that respect. And then Mograine. They finally wear the big guy down into nothing. And what should happen? Well, Aldrich is lying on the ground, bleeding out. And, well, Mograine comes along, and basically, as he falls, with his last breath, he brings down Mograine's might and collapses on the already dying form of Aldrich. Bearing in mind that Aldrich also has the unworthy debuff on him, meaning that he's been brought to 0 HP, so all damage inflicted on him by Mograine for the rest of his life is 1d6 extra, which in itself can stack up to 3 times. So, if Mograine puts you to 0 HP 3 times in your lifetime, and then he goes two-handed mace against you, then he will be rolling 6d6 base with sanguinary damage on top if he happens to have put the other debuffs on you and what have you. But they took him out, but he fell on Aldrich and crushed the life out of him. So both bosses down. Aldrich Lapointe, no more. But that's fine because Joel has already moved character. He's already moved. Again, so basically Aldrich was being played as an NPC. Once more, might add. It's the NPC curse. Yeah. It's just It's basically as soon as someone agrees to be an NPC, to join the group, agrees to join the group, they're basically putting that red jacket on. Okay, they're putting the red jacket on, and that's it. They're gonna die. They're gonna die that episode. Sad but true, and that's always been the theme of the party. They killed the cathedral bosses. They did it. They didn't think they could do it. But that's my point. The group are so stupid that they can do what they even think they can't do, and that's probably only through stupidity as well. So, I don't know. They think they're unstoppable. We'll have to bloody see, won't we? Loads of loot and all that kind of nice stuff. And then, well, let's see. The loot was kind of nice, and they're going to have to divide it up because there's healer stuff and there's Mograine stuff, so they'll have to work it out who's taking what and if they're going to want it all. And then, of course, they've all leveled up. So they're all 16 now. Amazing. Because, it's a level per module at this point, a level per mission, if you like, just to catch up with the new experience rate. But their next challenge shouldn't be so doable. I don't know. See, I've got a dungeon built ready for them, and dependent on certain things that happen with this dungeon, it might be difficult to actually give updates on the technical information of what happens inside the dungeon. all I can say is it's a natural wing type dungeon, and I've made this, and I'm in the process at the moment of seeing if Green Ronin themselves are interested in said dungeon, interested in a dungeon, maybe look at it for whatever, and of course if I completely blurt about it without permission, then that wouldn't be very good. So we'll have to see, but that dungeon would be the next thing that they will face, and it will be decidedly deadly, crafted for groups anywhere like between 16 and 20, with a challenge and level there that's challenging for the players and for the GM, I might add. Lots of GM notes. So to me, it's quite an advanced dungeon, and there's quite a lot of elements of contextual results depending on the section you're in and what you did in whatever prior other section. So it's like, if they did this, then it's that. If they did that, then it's this at this point. And those kind of things as well. So it's by no means a starter dungeon. It's for GMs that are used to running modules now at this point and can do this with a group that's strong enough and experienced enough to handle it. And I'm throwing this at them because we're in the final tier, as I like to call it, tier 4, which was the original plan to be 4 tiers. And in this, I want every single encounter to be potentially lethal. So yeah, I'll have to try and report on this dungeon as much as I can. I'm going to play it safe and not say too much about it. But effectively, my group are also going to be play testing it as I run it for them. So we'll see how that works out. They'll be staying in the area. They're not going back into Ferelden. And something else has happened as well. Another update for you. So this one is the organisations. So, organisation-wise, another 1 month went by. So it was Redhold versus the Tanadal's Southern Front, whatever they're calling themselves. And yeah, the South will rise again, as Jez always says. So yeah, they're going up against Redhold. They both managed growth stunts. Tanadal managed a stunt growth of 4, and Karak managed 1 stunt. So that's that. But of course, Redhold, stronger stats. But though they were given that, starting bonus like that, which is hell of a difference stat-wise, Tanadal's side is able to pull together support quicker and faster and basically grow their numbers out of nothing. So they get their victories count also in other ways as bigger victories for them to bring more people along to try to match and maybe even outnumber the North eventually if they can. But even then, the North would have them on attributes and stats. So it's really going to be about who can win the majority of these plots to appropriately weaken the other side. Now, what we have here is Tanadal in his plot deciding, okay, I'm going to try to send spies in. I'm sending in spies to Redhold. We want to find out what Karak's up to, how things are currently being run in Redhold. So, the way they spy would be put on their I Love Redhold t-shirts, and just go in, assimilate, and pretend to be part of it, because they're all avvars anyway, and try and find out what they could. And they managed to get a successful plot there of a spy against Redhold. So he's gained a bit of intelligence of what Redhold's up to now. So that's another plot, and that's a bit more stability damage going on. What do Redhold do in response? Well, Karak has a strong inclination that the South, where they got together and really hit their caravans before, that there's obviously someone leading them, and he thinks it probably is Tanadal. But he needs confirmation, and he needs to get an idea of where Tanadal is. And at the moment, all we can tell is that the southern forces of Tanadal are scattered all over the place. And in all likelihood, Tanadal's doing it Al-Qaeda style and living in a cave somewhere. Think of it a bit like the central mountain range in Skyrim that's just full of caves. Think the Frostback Mountain's full of caves. Yeah. So Tanadal at the moment, by necessity and by tactics as well, as it's worked out, has lots of disparate cells. And while they are disparate, they are also harder to nail down because they are in multiple cells. So it's a weakness and a strength at the same time. So still, Tanadal's trying to bring them together and using guerrilla tactics. That's what all his raids and things are going to have to be. Small things that hit them hard, but that basically have a bigger meaning on the people and create fear rather than just outright damage. Although all those stolen goods was a big boon for them. So, he really needed to find out, just confirmation that it is Tanadal. And Tanadal's about to give some, big speech that's going to be inspiring to the mountain range. So, once he starts making enough noise, it will be obvious that it's Tanadal. Everyone will know it's the Elect of the Sky at that point. And no one else would be able to do this but the Elect of the Sky. He's the only one now that can bring this back. So and the fact that he's chosen to do it now, bearing in mind we are 5 months now before the events of Dragon Age 1, Dragon Age Origins. 5 months. Oh my gosh. So, what we then have is a strike back, a plot from the Redhold Consortium, from Karak, suggesting, we're going to do this subtly. Oh yes, that's another thing. I've also imposed a modifier on the players within this organization's battle thing. So what I've said is that if you use the same stat consecutively, then it's -1 each time you use it. So basically you could alternate